You hit a point in terms of sort of the ineffable qualities of it, because you do explain many things, and in a sense, every tick and mannerism is important in this video. But there are lines where you'll just go beginning to end, and you won't explain exactly why you've done that, but it just comes to you as you're writing it.
Well, there is the little miniature moments of inspiration. The whole poem was something that I cobbled together from lines and whatnot. But amongst them, there are going to be those moments where, like I talk about Alvin Lee and A Space and Time, and 2 or 3 times I reference that. I twice referenced Don Moss and his dislike of my within and without thing, and I say, fuck it, it's my poem.
Allowing yourself to just kind of create this template as you're beginning to write it is quite something as well. When most readers probably think of a writer writing, they just think of it approaching a blank page. But there's much more complexity to it, and there was preparation, at least in writing the assorted lines that you had, or taking lines from it and adding it to it. One thing about the Ed Gein poem is you mentioned some of its qualities, but when we spoke off camera last time, we mentioned how the line, and then there is life, was very similar to the effect that you have in your region, where the region is basically the tale of Genesis with gangsters, and this is the tale of Genesis with a serial killer.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there are going to be, like you said, you hear me in these 20 years ago, I talk, at one point I say, like, one of these days I'm going to talk about the metric fallacy. And it was 3 years or 4 years later that I wrote Robinson Jefferson, The Metric Fallacy, that essay. So, you're going to see these things, and like you say, you're seeing a lot of things in utero that would come later. A lot of my approach to criticizing films or other works of art, you can see getting their first work out here. I mean, that's simply the way it is, and it shows a continuity of being and thought that, almost 2 decades later, I switched jobs a half a dozen times since then. I've changed states. I've changed different, not only employers, but going into different types of work. I didn't know Jessica back then. I was I was about a year from getting a first letter from Jessica, about a year and a half from meeting her, and then 2.5 years from getting married to her. And it was funny, Jessica said that it was interesting because she liked being smarter than me because she knows the poem and she knows what line is coming. And she's saying, I can watch you struggling there, but I know what you're going to say. So she's looking from the future back, and that's an interesting, because anyone, because underneath all of these things, and I put it on my 2 YouTube channels, I put it on Vimeo, and I did an edited 30-minute version for a couple of people on the E-list who are teachers who say they want to show it in their classrooms. And also this Daily Motion, the European version sort of YouTube, trying to get as much exposure out there